Grant, he signed a 27-month contract with Ghana, and the Ghana FA president has said that his main goal is to do well at the 2015 and the 2017 African Cup of Nations. Now, Grant will have some work to do to restore Ghana's national team back to that very high level that had many for a number of years, considering them one of the best teams in Africa. That was kind of knocked down a bit. This past World Cup was not good at all for the Black Stars. Really, most of the attention that they got, it had to do with the millions and millions of dollars that had to be flown to the players in cash because they were refusing to play without it. And then, you know, they had to keep those stacks of money with them at all times, apparently. Now, this was the type of thing that sounded a lot more like a movie than a team at the World Cup. And wouldn't you know it, there is a plan to make this all into a movie. And earlier this week, I spoke to the screenwriter of that Ghana World Cup film. Check this out. Daryl, this was such a bizarre situation. Millions of dollars being flown to Brazil for the Ghana players. What caught your interest the most about this entire story?
Well, I think for me, when I read the story, it just immediately meant it was some like international intrigue. You had this situation where millions of dollars literally were being flown to across seas to a soccer team in order for them to play. I mean, and so it just seemed like a really great backdrop for a film and for a movie. And just the idea was like, what happens if the money doesn't get to the team? And so once you ask that question, then all sorts of things, you know, lend itself to cinematic appeal.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, I was there. I was at the World Cup, and I was covering Ghana's group, and I was at Ghana's games, and there were so many of these little stories that slowly came out about the money, about the plane, about the players leaving their hundreds of thousands of dollars in the locker rooms during the game. Has there been anything to come out of your research that you found to be even more interesting or even more dramatic than, you know, we all seem to know?
Well, I think what's really interesting is when you see that, you know, that the fact that, hey, that they sent cash. We're in such a digital age with banking and finance and all these sort of things. So the fact that it was cash that was actually sent is one of those things that you just go, you can't make this up. You know, because I always wonder, my biggest question is, I still want to know how they got that money home. When many countries, you know, when you have to fill out the form, do you have more than $10,000?
Hey, that's a great point. I didn't even think of that.
You answer that question.
Absolutely.
I'm like, how did they get the money home? How did they travel with $100,000 cash?
Daryl, I'm really, really, really excited about this movie, about your screenplay, about everything. So if you are in just that beginning process of this, give me a general timeline. Is there a goal? Is there a year you're aiming for when I can actually go and see this film?
Maybe before the next World Cup.
Okay. All right, that's a ways off, but I'll take it.
You know, it usually takes. Right, it takes, you know, writing the screenplays takes time. Writing, you know, casting takes time. Shooting the film takes time. Marketing it, you know. So yeah, maybe before the next World Cup.
All right.
So
that's
if it can come out and help, you know, before the next World Cup comes out.
Daryl, I'm not going to lie, that's a little bit longer than I was hoping that you would say. I will be looking forward to it, and I will be first in line to go and see this movie when it comes out.
Well, if somebody wants to come on board and, yeah, if anybody wants to help, you know, accelerate the process, we're all for it.
Someone get on board and help Daryl. I want to see this movie sooner than 4 years. Still ahead on World Sport. A look at a new sport that could just become all the rage. Even our very own producer Joe, that's him right there. He's tried it out.